Wow, 5-1. Hi, Luann Pershaw. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great on this Friday. How about yourself, Mark?
Really well. So,
Good.
how are things with you now in Florida?
Uh,
She,
things
Luann
are,
just got back from Minnesota. She was here
yeah, yes. The
visiting
the
friends and
the
family.
temperatures are beautiful and balmy. They're between 75 and 80, and I had a great time in Minnesota with you and Suzette and my family and friends, and got to experience a little snowfall on Saturday and some cold temps on Sunday and Monday. I sounded like a true Minnesotan. Cold.
Cold out there, Fargo. All right. So, Luann's filling in for Terry this week, and we're going to cover Young and Restless and Bold and Beautiful. Let's start out with Y&R.
Great.
All right. Nikki continues. This is a good storyline, as you had mentioned. Nicki continues to be held captive by her assistant,
Claire.
Claire, and her aunt, supposedly. We'll find out later what that's
Jordan.
all. Jordan,
Yeah. Yeah.
what that's all about. But they're in a home. We do find out here the last few days that they're in a home kind of off the grid somewhere. And because they said
Yes.
when they tried to escape, we're off the kind of off the grid here.
Yeah,
So,
they're
yeah.
they're out in on the West Coast, like Oregon, I think, or something.
Is that what it is? Okay.
And this house, Jordan secured it tightly. There was no access from the inside to get out. The windows are all locked. The doors are locked. There's no exit out of there. So Nikki was kind of at their mercy, and and they drugged her. Oh, no, she put the needle. They injected a needle in her neck, and that was it. And the next thing we saw was Nikki laying in bed with an IV. And foolish me, I was thinking that they're keeping liquids in her to
Yeah, they
keep
are.
her, nutrition in her, some water. Oh no, they were giving her straight vodka right into her veins.
Yeah. Which I think would kill you. I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but
Yes,
or 2 weeks ago, but I think it would kill you.
yeah, I know.
But anyway.
that wouldn't be good.
Yeah. It is a soap. I have to pinch myself once in a while and remind myself that it is
Yes.
a soap opera.
Yeah, but it was Nikki being a recovering alcoholic, that was a definite no for her. So
Yeah.
so it was interesting to see how they showed past pictures to give her a hint, like here's a bottle of vodka, and here's a picture of Eve. So that was our first hint. Eve was involved there somewhere from the past.
Right. Okay, so Victor, Victoria, Nick, and Cameron Kristen is his name. Cameron Kristen. That's Victoria's ex from many, many moons ago.
It was Cole.
Or Cole. Why did I say
Yeah,
Cameron?
it was Cole. Well, Cameron
probably-
was one of her exes too.
Yeah.
But Cole.
Cole, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So they
yeah.
all end up at the aunt's house. And it turns out Barbara is on the show now. Barbara is the Barbara from the As the World Turns. Back in the day, I used to watch that soap.
Yes, you
For
said
those
that
of you
in
CBS soap watchers.
yes, and it was interesting when that Cole showed up. Because he was under the pretense that Victoria had asked him to come there
Right.
to the house, and then Aunt Jordan knocks him out, and so now he's there, and it's kind of like, well, why did they bring Cole here? So that was kind of a neat little line too, ending for one day, just to see why are all of these people being brought together in this house? What's Aunt Jordan's plan?
Yeah, and it became clear pretty quickly the other day when she came down, and the aunt and ends up kind of explaining to them what's going on, and that Victoria is the mother
Of
of
Claire. Yeah.
And so Victoria doesn't believe it at first, which is understandable. They thought they lost the baby. At least that's what they were told. This storyline too has been used in soaps. I don't know how many times.
I
Where
know.
the
I
baby
know.
they think is dead, or it got exchanged, or got mixed up at the hospital, or whatever.
Changed
that
out in the
storyline has been
hospital.
used many times.
And then when Nick and Victor and Victoria all came to the house, they, first thing Claire said, well, do you need something to drink? And of course she gave them that bottle of water. And then when Aunt Jordan came down, and she just kept talking and talking because she was waiting for that poison that was in that water to take over their body. And then Aunt Jordan finally said, well, we've given you some poison and we have an antidote, but we won't be giving it to you. And so it will be fun to watch you slowly die. And then how she explained how she was Eve's sister, and that how she had changed out the babies, and the baby that died is not really, Claire is their baby. And both, because Cole even looked at Victoria like, is this really true? And Victoria said, no. She said, our baby died. And, she was very adamant about that. And I think, when you looked over at Claire, then Claire was starting to become, confused too. It's like,
right.
Well, Aunt Jordan, this is what you've always been telling me,
right.
that, I'm their daughter. And you said they didn't want me, and now you're saying that you changed out the babies, so she was starting to become very confused too, and Jordan was trying to stay in control over Claire too. So
yeah,
I thought that was,
and Claire was softening up as she saw kind of the human emotion of the whole thing with Victoria.
Correct.
Yeah.
And she could kind of see that, is my aunt, kind of deranged,
right.
that, with what, so that was I thought that whole storyline that day was very interesting, very good.
How
they were trying to pull it all together, and, the emotions that Victoria and Cole were feeling, like, oh my God, we've lived through this all years ago. Our baby's dead, and now you're bringing this up, and you're saying,
back up.
Yeah, and Claire's daughter. It's like, no. And then Claire kind of looked at Victoria. She said, "Well, if you would just apologize." And I think Victoria at first, she was kind of like, "Well, I don't know what I'm apologizing for because our baby died." But she realized Claire just wanted some kind of apology. So I think so that she could get on Claire's good side. She said, well, I apologize that you were told this all these years.
Yeah. Which is, that is the right way to handle it. When you're dealing with a deranged person like that, whether you agree with them or not, you should always go along with it because,
right.
They're deranged.
Right.
They could kill you.
Yeah, exactly. You try to find that little soft spot where you could kind of reason with them a little bit.
Right.
So that was a very, very, very good episode that day.
I like the storyline because I'm like, oh, finally we're getting, it's like Young and the Restless and Bold. It's like, they regurgitate the same storyline sometimes over and over and over again. And I like it when they come with something fresh.
Correct. And this storyline reminds you of how some of the storylines used to be years ago in Young and the Restless, where, I remember there were different killings, or Jill and, going at it with somebody else. And it's just, those were the good episodes back then, where you were, glued to the TV seeing what was going to happen the next day.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't really thought about it, but I think you're right in that it seems like there was more, I don't know, deeper stories where sometimes they, like we've already discussed, they tend to kind of redo the same. It's like the Liam, we'll talk later, but
and Bold,
dealing with the same romances over and over.
Yeah.
Brooke, all that.
Yes. So this was good, and it just brought back some of the old stories that, where there was this kind of thing going on, kind of suspense, and, instead of people just switching jobs like they're doing in Young and the Restless a lot, moving from one company to another.
Like,
yeah.
Seen this before.
Yeah. Because I always enjoyed the Catherine Chancellor and Jill Abbott,
the
fights
those
they'd
two
have.
used to have.
And
Both good actresses, yeah, very good storylines, I think.
And
and the old John Abbott.
Yeah,
remember
John Abbott. And the storylines with Adam, years ago, those storylines were so good with Adam, so good. And Victor and all that. So, okay, so we'll continue on with what happens next then.
As you've already mentioned a little bit, but the four that were drugged are starting to feel the effects.
Mm-hmm.
They do hear a noise upstairs in the house.
Yeah. Because Nicki, the IV pole, it dropped because she was trying to get out of bed again.
Yep. And so I think they all kind of like, what was that? But she's a good liar. The aunt's a good liar. So they kind of talked their way out of that. But I don't think Victor was buying it. So at some point here, he kind of starts strolling up the steps. Then he hears Nicki. He's calling for Nicki or saying her name. And then Nicki says something through the door like, Victor, I'm here or whatever. And so he ends up busting into the room. And about the same time, the aunt, Eva Howard's, I call it Eva Howard's twisted sister.
Yeah.
That's what they call her on soaps.com.
Oh, do they? Evil sister.
Yeah, evil sister. Twisted sister, they call it. So anyway, she goes up. She's got a big knife, and she goes upstairs, and she ends up running into Nick on the way up.
Yes.
Kind of slices him across the stomach here, and he's bleeding pretty good. At first I wasn't sure what they were going to do with this, but it appears at the end of the show that he's going to be okay. It was, I won't say a flesh wound.
They had him wrapped up.
It's not life-threatening.
Yeah, where they were, they were holding some towels or gauze pads over until the pressure on until the ambulance came, and and Nick was feeling the effects of the drug hitting him, so he was really out of it. And Cole and Victoria were trying to help him, and then like you said, as Victor was then up there with Nicki in the room, and here comes Aunt Jordan or Eve.
Punched her.
I know,
that was awesome. I mean, I'm not an advocate for violence, people. Let me say that. But just the acting was pretty funny.
Yeah, and Victor had his fill of Aunt Jordan, or Eve's bad sister. So, and you could tell he was very frustrated with her because he was not getting the information or the answers he wanted. And he said, "You're crazy." he just comes right out and says it. But and so then it was kind of like, I wasn't sure if Jordan was going to come after Victor, but that he, like you said, he hit her, and then they wrestled around, so they locked her in the room, and Nicki and Victor were able to stumble down the stairs, and they saw what had happened with Nick, but then they were able to phone the ambulance, and then the ambulance crew is there.
Right. All right, so Victor was able to, after he punched her, knocked her over, Jordan, he was able to lock her into the bedroom, as you had mentioned, the locks that were on the house, etc. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this with you, because it's like, okay.
Yes.
So anyway, so they go downstairs, and it turns out when they go back up there again, she's gone.
Which surprised me.
Yeah, the police show up. But here's what I don't get. Okay, Luann, so if you look at it, Nicki had tried every frickin' way to get out of that house while she was locked in that bedroom, and somehow Jordan figured a way out of the window.
Yeah, well, you have to remember, this is Jordan. Yeah, well, this is Jordan's house, so I'm sure she planned little escape doors or rooms.
That's true.
Yeah, and because when the police and the ambulance crew were saying she's nowhere to be found,
she's not here.
We don't know where she is.
Oh, that's right, because she was hiding in the vent. I forgot about that.
Then when they all left, all of a sudden the camera pans in on the vent, and there Jordan is standing with her eyes looking out, and I thought, oh, there's going to be more to happen yet, I think. But they did arrest Claire, so we'll see, where that goes to, and what happens. But it was a very interesting week storyline on Young and the Restless. I really enjoyed the performances and the storyline.
Yeah, agreed. I'm with you. Super sudsy questions, Luann, for Young and Restless. Will Nicki go back to drinking vodka?
Oh,
now that this happened, we've discussed it, that she was on an IV and they were keeping her pretty tuned up.
And
no, go ahead.
well, I was going to say if she does kind of fall off the wagon, she may have to be weaned back into say no to the alcohol and having it. Maybe she'll need some help, because I don't know if she could fall back into it that quickly.
I think she can, because it's done. It's happened before with her. I mean, not where she got drugged, but where she was tempted and started drinking, and then she was. So she, once she kind of falls off the wagon, then it's kind of full boat. Or
she'll be say to the family, no, that was just there. I can get past it. But then baby on her own, when she's by herself and she's thinking about all this stuff, and I'm sure she'll have some memories of it that come back, and that she has to get traumatic experience she has to work through. That when she's by herself, she may say, I just need to help me get through this or get over it. I need just a little sip, if she does go back to, I hope she's stronger. And because she does have, I think it's MS on the, on the show, that she will know that that's not good with her illness.
Alcohol is going to really kick her.
Yeah.
All right. So where does Aunt, and we've already talked about it, that she was hiding in that house, Eva Howard's evil sister, where does she end up? Is she done terrorizing the Newmans? I
don't think she's done terrorizing yet. I think she still has a score to settle, because she still is upset with Victor, with her sister Eve, and so we'll see on that. But I don't think there's a reason why they showed her. And according to some of the things I've read, is that she is going to be on the show for a while, a little bit. So, and when they got through this week and they already, said who it was and what the storyline was about, that, it had to do in the past with Victoria and Cole, she made it sound like she was going to be on a little bit longer. So I was expecting her, to be on through like this year. Yeah. To December.
Well, and I think she will be. The fact that, like you said, they showed her that she's still with us, that she's going to be, I agree with you. I think she's going to be back terrorizing the Newmans.
And who knows, no, it's not over. And who knows, maybe she'll help Claire escape, because Claire and her have been tightly bound to each other over the years,
I kind of see Claire going a different direction, to where I think that her and, I think once that Victoria is fully convinced that is her daughter, I think that she is going to, I think they're going to have a relationship. Now, that might take a while, but I think it's going to happen.
Right. And the key thing is if she is her daughter, if she is Victoria's daughter. Yes. That's right. So one of the first things I would do if I was Victoria, I'd be asking for a DNA sample.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I would too.
So for sure. All right. So for sure she, okay.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, so that she knows for sure, because,
you'd want to know.
If Claire and Aunt Jordan were just a crazy duo, she knows, like, I can't deal with them anymore. But if there is some truth to it, she'll find out. And then it's like, now what do I do next?
Right. Yeah, I agree. All right. Next and last question for Young and Restless is, what is Kyle doing? Is he really working with Tucker?
I don't think so.
I'm having a little trouble trying to decide. What is he up to?
I think, because he has been talking with Diane a lot. And I think, Diane said, let's not share with your dad, with Jack, what you're actually doing. And so Tucker is playing both hands here, Kyle is. That with Tucker, tried to lead him on, because Audra was a little surprised when Kyle came back into their fold too. But Diane is aware of what Kyle is doing, and it's just Jack isn't. Because Billy did make Jack aware of it. He said, I think you might have a mole in our company, and it might be your son Kyle. And, Jack was a little surprised, but I think Kyle is doing double duty. He's doing it for Diane to make it look good for his dad if he does figure out what Tucker is doing. And
yeah, I agree. That's what I would.
Kyle still wants to move up in the position at Jabot, but he has to kind of prove himself.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's switch over to Bold and Beautiful.
Okay.
Eric and his health, Eric Forrester and his health continue to decline. Now, this week, Eric ends up telling Donna and others that he wants a last big Forrester shindig.
Oh, it's just what surprised me this week too is when, he was coughing, he was spitting up blood, he was almost passing out, and they called the doctor. The doctor said, "Eric, you really need to go to the hospital." And Donna and RJ are both saying, "Yes, I think you need to go to the hospital. Listen to your doctor." And Eric is saying, "I'm not going to any hospital. I'm going to live. I'm going to, whatever time I have, I'm going to make the best of it and live and do what I love to do, design, and let's throw one last big shindig
Let's have
for
a party.
me." Let's have a party to celebrate my life.
Yeah.
We're going to celebrate my life while I'm alive.
Right. Yeah. Word's starting to get out on Eric's health. Ridge told Carter today, which,
Did he?
Carter's not like loose lips, so that's not
No.
like a huge concern, but
No.
the word is getting out.
The word is getting out. The thing I find really interesting is that, when Ridge and Brooke are talking about it and the others, it's like, well, we can't tell Eric that we know. Nobody wants to let Eric that they know. And it's like, they're all in on the secret. Eric thinks they don't know, but they all know, but they won't tell him that they know.
Right.
I find that part of the story interesting, that it's like, why don't you just all be honest and say, "Eric, we know and we support you, whatever your decision is." And that part I think is interesting.
Yeah, I do too. All right.
Because even like Stephanie and Thomas once, would love, they were hugging their grandpa and crying, and it's like, well, why would you just say, "Grandpa, we know what's going on. We love you, and we hurt because."
And he's going to say, "Where did you hear?" And you can honestly say, "It doesn't matter. I'm not going to tell you. It doesn't matter where I heard it, but I know."
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, it is. I agree. All right. I like this scene, Luann. It was about a week ago, roughly.
Yeah.
Dollar Bill goes to the restaurant there, and he gives Sheila a hell of a stern warning about.
He sure did.
Kind of let her have it. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Sheila should have known she hadn't heard the last from Bill yet. And,
oh yeah, I think you brought this up last week. Where's Bill been? He's pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, and it's interesting just talking about Bill. I wonder where the storyline will go with him and Poppy, because when he was sitting, when Poppy and Luna were at the restaurant while Bill was there, before he talked to Sheila, he said, "Poppy, you look very familiar." So, is there a reason why she looks familiar to him? So
that's a good point.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. There must be some history there that we're going to find out about later.
Later on.
Interesting. I can't even speculate. Other than that, there must have been some historic meeting there between those two.
That goes way back, maybe.
Well, then, okay. So let's talk about that. So, is Luna? No, what's her name? What's the daughter? Luna.
Luna.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is Luna Bill's daughter?
I don't know, because Lee was.
SUDSY.
Yeah,
SUDSY.
I know. Lee was upset with Poppy because she had an affair with one of the chief of surgery. But that's not to say that was Luna. Luna was his child. So who knows?
Right.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. All right. So just an observation and things that I've read is that they're the B&B is gonna turn Liam into an all-out villain on the show.
Well, interesting.
I think, did you and I talk about that, or was it Terry and I? But
I think you and Terry may have.
Maybe we did. We've talked about that in the past, that it seems like they're kind of changing his character. Well, now there's kind of documented that he's going to become the villain on the show.
Oh, that would be an about turn for him, because he's been such a sap lately.
He's Jerk.
Yeah, it's like he thinks like Stephanie needs him and Hope needs him, and they can't do without him, and then he could cheat on whoever he wants to, and then you just take me back, and it'll be interesting.
And he's so judgmental of the women, but not himself.
Yes, very, very judgmental. And it'll be interesting if they turn him around, because back to Young and the Restless, they kind of did that same thing with Nate. They had to turn him around too, because he was a good, respected doctor.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, he's just kind of like pariah, there too. So
it's funny how they do, and you're right. They've done that before, where they turn a nice character into a villain.
Yeah, and so this might be a good time to do it, because Liam isn't hooked to Stephanie or to Hope, because they both have other partners now. So this might be a good opportunity for them to start doing that with Liam.
But he's been a real pain or a thorn in both of their sides, because he's so judgmental, and he just spends time.
Mm-hmm.
Does the guy ever work?
I know. I agree with you.
He's not retired like we are, Louie.
Right.
So you can't be screwing around doing podcasts.
I know, exactly. He still has to work to make a living.
Right. All right. So let's go into Super SUDSY questions. First question for you is Eric going to die?
I'm sad to say, but I think so. I think he is.
Do you?
But I think they're going to make a big production out of it before he does. I think he might.
I'm going to go the other way. And I may have read something, but I didn't get a lot of detail. But I do think there's another doctor that's going to come into the picture.
Oh, okay.
And I've got two guesses. It's either going to be Finn, or it's going to be Brooke's daughter. That's a doctor. The blonde.
Okay. Okay.
It's been a long time since she's done. You know who I mean?
Yeah, I know who you mean. I can't think of her name though either. And because it's kind of interesting. His current doctor really hasn't been. That he doesn't take control of everything. And and when Finn and Stephanie were talking the other day, Finn said, I should be able to make some calls. There should be something more that we can do. It's kind of like Eric has just, put up his hands like, well, there's nothing we could do, because you think he would want to be seeing some specialist or, something, but maybe there is a doctor that will come in and say, hey, there's still something we could do. There's hope for you.
That's what I'm going to say, is that one of those two doctors is going to come in and find a cure or find a way to save Eric, and he's going to live through it. Just a thought. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. All right.
No, I agree with you.
Okay. All right, we'd answered the second question by saved by whom? Who I think it's going to be if they save him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to happen at this? Because you can bet they're building up to something here, Luann. What's going to happen at this Forrester shindig that Eric's going to host?
Well, because it is for Eric. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What could happen there?
I think he's going to be telling some kind of a story, or he's going to be trying to get out what's wrong with him, at least that he knows. And he's going to pass out. He's going to hit the floor.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
That's what I think. He's going to go to the hospital, and that's how I think he's going to meet the next doctor. Whether that's Finn's there, or somebody's going to be there, and they're going to figure it out.
Okay.
After a while, not immediately.
Yeah, because then because he's out of it, he can't tell them not to take him to the hospital. So that would make sense.
Exactly.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with you.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one last question. So what will happen with Deacon and Hope's relationship? Because they had a heated exchange here recently, which... Talk about calling the kettle black. So Deacon's trying to tell Hope that Thomas is bad for her. He's a bad guy, da-da-da-da-da. And she just goes right back, which she should. She goes right back
Yeah.
after Deacon saying, who the hell are you? I mean, what are you talking about? You're with Sheila. She's the most crazy person there is.
I know. And she's done, Sheila's done a lot worse things than Thomas. Thomas is a little crazy, but Sheila's evil, too. She's crazy and evil. But, they're trying to turn her around, too, like that Deacon can soothe the wild animal here. We'll see if that does actually happen. But
I think he will temporarily, but I don't think that'll last.
Just with time. Give it time. Something will happen with Sheila. Something will upset her again. And we'll have to do with Finn and their baby again, that, because she won't be able to see them. But I think going back to your question about Deacon and Hope, I think it's going to be very strained, the relationship. And, she may keep him out of her children's life. I don't know. Her child's life.
Sounds like she's gonna. Yeah. That's her intent.
Yeah, and if that's the case, Deacon may have to bend a little bit or reevaluate his relationship with Sheila. But I don't think he loves Sheila. I don't think he's going to do that anytime soon, though. But because I know they both, Deacon and Hope, have been building their relationship for a long time, and it's at a good place. But now it could go south for a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. All right, I would agree with everything you said there.
Okay.
Final thoughts, Luann, on both soaps, Y&R and Bold, before we close.
Before we close, so let's see, what can I think about? Well, I'm hoping next week that we see a little bit more with the Kyle Tucker, maybe something more with Adam, and we'll see how the Victoria, Nick, and Nicki are doing. That storyline will be interesting to see where they all end up, and because this was a traumatic experience for all of them as a family. And Bold and Beautiful, we'll see how this shindig comes together for Eric, and how his health continues to affect him, his family, and he'll soon learn that everybody knows that he's sick and dying, and they can all talk about it together.
Right, exactly. All right, that sounds great, and we'll see where it goes. Both soaps are getting good. Until we dish again,
keep it sudsy.
And we're out.